The movie opens in Mexico City, a place gripped by a wave of kidnappings, so frequent that one person is abducted every hour, and most victims never make it back alive. Former CIA operative John Creasy arrives in the city to visit his old friend Paul Rayburn, another ex-agent who now runs a private security firm protecting wealthy clients. Rayburn jokes that he's living like a king in Mexico and asks what Creasy's been up to. Creasy admits he's been drifting, doing nothing much, and came down on impulse to see his old buddy. Meanwhile, a businessman named Samuel Ramos meets with his lawyer Jordan Kalfis to discuss the rising kidnappings. Kalfis mentions a recent case where a young girl was returned to her parents, but with one ear missing. Samuel says his wife, Lisa, has been insisting they hire a bodyguard for their 9-year-old daughter, Peter. He's hesitant, claiming they already have ransom insurance, but Kalfis reminds him that the policy will expire soon. To renew it, he'll need to employ a bodyguard. You do this, you get one that's got a decent resume. We're not looking for a goddamn Superman here, right? Get someone cheap, so you renew the policy and then and fire the creep for whatever competence. The most important thing here is that your daughter goes back to school, and that your wife gets the safe face, and this way you won't be the only unprotected family in the neighborhood. Rayburn later tells Creasy about a job opportunity with the Ramos family. Creasy hesitates, pointing out his drinking problem and dislike of socializing. Yeah? If they'd hire a drunk or a husband, you have to keep it under control. It's rich guys flashing their cash, it's all for show, nothing's gotta happen. He adds that Samuel's business is struggling, and he needs someone trustworthy. Creasy eventually agrees to meet the family. During their meeting, Samuel reviews Creasy's resume and is impressed by his elite CIA background. Your resume is quite impressive. 16 years of military experience, extensive counter-terrorism work. You surprised anybody, Conspiri. What's the catch? A drink. How does it affect you? Forward-yation, reaction time. Top professionals try to kidnap your daughter. I'll do the best I can, but the service will be on par with the pay. What if amateurs try it? Probably kill him. No one is to know about your drink. That includes my wife. At the Ramos home, Samuel introduces Creasy to his wife Lisa, who's relieved to meet an American she instinctively trusts. Do you like a drink? Yes. Jack and could be good. She calls their daughter Peter to meet her new bodyguard and asks her to show him around and to his room. After they leave, Samuel is surprised that Lisa had rejected 4 other candidates before him. She says Creasy feels trustworthy. Peter proudly shows Creasy his new room, introduces him to the house staff, and mentions that the parrot there belonged to their previous bodyguard. That night, as Lisa tucks Peter into bed, the little girl says she likes Creasy. He's like her teddy bear. He's like a bear too.
Yeah?
Big sad bear. Is he sad? I think. There's something. She names the bear Creasy Bear.
Okay.
Bear? Later, Creasy sits alone in his room, drinking heavily and testing his reflexes. The next morning, Creasy studies a map of the neighborhood and the route to Peter's school. The pet bird in his room won't stop chirping, so he finally opens the window and sets it free. You're home free, baby. On the drive to school, Peter bombards him with questions. Where he's from, what his job is like, and even if being black makes things harder in Mexico, she casually mentions that 24 kidnappings have happened in the past 4 days, which surprises Creasy. He can't believe how much this little girl knows. At the school, Creasy signs Peter in and meets the headmistress, a Catholic nun everyone calls Madre. She's happy to see Peter back at school and strikes up a conversation with Creasy. Madre says it's sad that his line of work is even necessary. Did you ever see the Hanafuzi what you do? Not for a long time. The Bible says, be not overcome of evil, but to overcome evil with good. Romanos cappuccino ad dear. I'm the sheep that got lost, my dear. He thanks her and leaves. Later that day, Creasy waits by the gate when school ends. On the way home, Peter keeps asking questions, even about the scars on his hands. Eventually, Creasy loses patience and tells her to stop. I'm not being paid to be your friend, I'm being paid to protect you, so no more questions, that's it, period. Yeah.
Yes.
No crying. That evening, leave me. That evening, Lisa visits Creasy in his room. She notices the Bible on his bed and asks if it helps. Yeah, so she explains that Peter just wants a friend to her bodyguard. That's all. Peter just wants to be friend. She it up. Okay. You toy away. She told me about that, okay? You pay me to protect her, not to be a friend. Look, you know, maybe this will work out. Maybe your husband should find somebody who's a little more social.
Are you right?
You're being paid to protect her, and I'm confident that you'll do that. I'll be coming with you tomorrow, I hope that's all right. That night, Creasy sinks into another wave of depression. He pours drink after drink, then loads his gun, putting one bullet in the chamber. He presses it to his head and pulls the trigger. Click. Nothing happens. Out in the rain, he calls Rayburn in the middle of the night and asks why a 9mm wouldn't fire. Rayburn says maybe it's a bad primer, then realizes what Creasy was probably aiming at. Before he can ask more, Creasy apologizes for waking him and ends the call. After hanging up, Creasy looks toward Peter's window and sees her watching him. Then she quickly disappears from sight. Quietly, he picks up the bullet that didn't fire and places it inside a matchbox, like a reminder that his life was spared for a reason. The next morning, on their way to school, Creasy notices a suspicious car pull in behind them and start following. He quietly takes out a piece of paper and asks Peter for a pencil. She spots the car too and quickly writes down the license plate number. Before Creasy can do the same, the road dips downhill and the car speeds off. Moments later, they arrive at Peter's school safely, though he's still uneasy. That afternoon, Peter heads to her swim practice. When the starter pistol fires, she's the last to dive in but still manages to finish third. Creasy helps her out of the pool and tells her she's got real talent. On the ride home, she asks how she can get better. He explains that she's the fastest in the water, but the slowest to leave the block. She just needs to react quicker at the start. Peter admits she has a big swim meet coming up in 3 weeks, but doubts she can win. Creasy assures her she can, if she keeps training. The next morning, Lisa and Samuel say goodbye to Peter before leaving for a business trip to the US. With them gone, Creasy takes his role even more seriously and begins training Peter for her upcoming swim meet. He claps 2 bricks together to mimic the sound of a starter gun, but notices she flinches every time. The gunshot holds no fear. Say it. The gunshot holds nothing. That is the sound that sets you free. You are a prisoner on this block until that sound sets you free. Are you ready? Later, while helping her with homework, Peter cracks a joke that actually makes Creasy laugh, something she's never seen him do before. You were smiling. No, that wasn't that was a smirk. That was a smirk. That's not a smile. A smirk is different. They both thought with us, but did not. Training continues day after day, with Creasy timing her starts using his voice as the signal. Whenever she's laid off the block, he calmly tells her to go again. Slowly, she improves until she beats her personal best time.
I'm tough, Creasy.
Yeah? No such thing as tough. There's trained and there's untrained. Now which are you? Trained. A few days later, her parents return from their trip, and Peter is thrilled, especially when she sees the gift they brought her, a puppy she's been begging for. That night, Lisa watches fondly as Creasy helps Peter finish her homework. The two share playful banter, Peter teasing him about having a girlfriend, and Creasy joking that she should mind her business. Lisa interrupts briefly to ask if Creasy can drive her to the salon after dropping Peter off at school the next morning. Soon, Peter's big swim day arrives. Before the race, Creasy gives her a pep talk and tells her to go out there and win.
Had a brisk...
Don't smile. Fool around. Going to win. You want to win? Trained or untrained? No.
Nice to see you.
Oh, good to see you, Madre. Peter's parents are away on business and worries. I was today. Look at that. When the starting gun fires, Peter dives into the water. Creasy watches with a smile as she wins the race. As the crowd cheers, she runs straight into his arms, beaming with pride. Later, Creasy takes Peter to meet Rayburn and his wife, and they all celebrate her victory. Rayburn jokes about how he met his wife in Mexico. During the laughter, Peter hands Creasy a small gift, a necklace with a saint's emblem, saying she bought it with her own money. Creasy smiles warmly and says he loves it. That night, alone in his room, Creasy reaches for his bottle of alcohol, but instead of drinking, he closes it and picks up his Bible. In the main house, Peter argues with her father, saying she doesn't want piano lessons anymore. She wants to keep swimming. Samuel refuses, insisting he's already hired one of the best piano teachers and that it's not up for discussion. Before she leaves, he softens his tone, saying he only wants what's best for her. The next day, Creasy drives Peter to her piano lesson. On the way, Peter jokes, "If you broke all my fingers, Creasy, then tape them back together. I wouldn't be able to play piano, but I could still swim." Can you belch? Can you belch like burp? Can you burp? That's good. That's good. Right, you belch every few minutes while you're practicing. Okay, you apologize to him, but you keep belching, you'll offend every sensibility he has, right? Very good. You'll be back at the pool in 24 hours, I guarantee you. Then she brings up something serious. The car that followed them days earlier. She says she wrote down the license plate, but missed the last digit. Creasy tells her not to worry. He'll get it later. The teacher welcomes her inside, saying the lesson will take about an hour. Creasy waits outside with Peter's dog. Then, an hour passes, and then a police car suddenly drives up and blocks the road. Creasy's instincts kick in immediately. Something's wrong. A moment later, the same suspicious car that had followed them appears. At that exact moment, Peter comes out of the house. Creasy shouts for her to run and fires a warning shot into the air. She bolts. Gunfire erupts as the kidnappers open fire on him. Creasy dives behind the car for cover, returning precise shots that take down 2 kidnappers and one of the corrupt cops. The surviving officer, wounded on the ground, fires back and hits Creasy. Creasy manages to shoot him dead before collapsing from his injuries. Seeing him fall, Peter screams and runs back toward him, but the remaining kidnappers grab her and speed away. Hours later, news spreads across Mexico. At the hospital where Creasy lies unconscious, police hold a press conference. The police chief announces that John Creasy is under arrest for killing 2 officers and may be connected to Peter's kidnapping. Among the reporters is Mariana, the investigative journalist. She specializes in exposing corrupt cops. She challenges the chief, asking why those officers were at the scene off-duty and in uniform. He dodges the question, but Director Miguel Manzano of the Federal Investigation Agency steps forward, declaring those cops were corrupt at the At the Ramos residence, the place is swarming with investigators and officers. Lisa is devastated. She's been crying non-stop. Samuel's lawyer tries to calm him, promising things will be fine. A man approaches, offering his sympathy. He introduces himself as Lieutenant Victor Fuentes from the Anti-Kidnapping Division. Kalfas immediately tries to dismiss him. "I'm Jordan Kalfas, I'm the family attorney. Speak slower, please. My Russian is better than my English. Well, I'm conducting the negotiations and we neither need nor want any police assistance. We're gonna handle this thing ourselves. Senor Ramos, 2 police officers were killed during your daughter's abduction. I have a written order from Ministerio Público authorizing our participation ex officio. The kidnapper will tell you to deliver the money alone. Por favor, don't do that, or you will find yourself in a real Mexican hell. Oh, mariachi, no tequila, and no Peter." The phone rings. The kidnapper calls. He tells Samuel that if he wants to see his daughter alive, he must pay $10 million, split into 2 bags of $5 million each. Kalfas takes the phone, confirming the instructions. The kidnapper warns that Samuel must deliver the money alone, and that any police involvement will mean Peter's death. Meanwhile, Rayburn sneaks into Creasy's hospital room, evading the cops guarding the door. Inside, Director Manzano meets him and explains that he wants to help. Creasy finally wakes up, and the first thing he asks is, Rayburn gently tells him she's been gone for 2 days, and negotiations are still ongoing. On the day of the drop, while receiving the kidnappers' instructions, Kalfas asks them to allow Samuel to arrive with his driver. "Listen, I need a driver to drive someone." "Why?" "He's got a bad ticker, he's got a heart condition. Look, he's a nervous kid, he doesn't respond well to stress." "Right, but the car will not be powerful. Remove the trunk lid. Use the maid's Valiana Acapulco. You will arrive at La Diana Fountain at 1 a.m. You will drive around the circle 2 times. Someone will remove his shirt and hold it out the window to ready the car." They follow the kidnapper's instructions exactly. Samuel retrieves a map from a payphone, drives to an abandoned car, and leaves the ransom money inside as told. But things go terribly wrong. Another group ambushes the kidnappers during the pickup, opens fire, and steals the money. The ransom exchange is a disaster. At the same time, Manzano moves Creasy from the hospital to a safer location. School, hospital, very dangerous places, especially when you're a kid. The next day, the kidnappers call again, furious. The caller accuses Samuel of betraying them, saying he set up the ambush and that his men killed the kidnapper's own nephew in the process. "He took my money." "You killed my nephew." He coldly declares that because of that, Peter will die. Lisa grabs the phone, begging for mercy, but the kidnapper tells her it's too late. "I'm really sorry. I wish we had talked sooner, Senora. I'm really sorry." Now it's too late. Realizing there's nothing more she can do, Lisa breaks down completely, screaming at everyone.
All of you, get the house. Get out. Ah!
Rayburn visits Creasy at the heavily guarded house Manzana moved him to and delivers the worst news. Peter is dead. He explains how the ransom drop was hijacked. The kidnapper's nephew was killed in the melee, and the captors retaliated by killing the girl. Manzano arrives, and the doctor informs him that Creasy's wounds are serious, and he'll need weeks to recover. Still, Manzano shows Creasy photos of suspects. Creasy studies one image for a moment, as if he recognizes the face, but insists he doesn't. No. Instead, he asks to see pictures of police officers. Manzano explains those were all policemen, bad judicial cops, protected by a brotherhood. A brotherhood. called El Mandarat, a network that shields crooked officers, politicians, and other powerful figures. Later, Rayburn quietly helps Creasy slip out of the private hospital before he's fully healed. On the drive, Creasy spots a car trailing them. Rayburn says it's the journalist Mariana. Creasy tells him to take him straight to the crime scene and let her follow if she wants. At the scene, Creasy is haunted by memories. Mariana approaches, introduces herself, and hands him a Centum What If They Curse item. It's Centum What They Setlish. They've put a curse on you, little. Wait, Mariana says she wants to help him get justice, and that exposing La Hermandad is her mission. She gives him her card. You're a straight... You're going to need friends that know the way around. Okay, friend, that's gonna help me. Pleasure to meet you. Back at the Ramos house, Creasy packs his things. He takes the misfired bullet he'd kept, then slips into Pita's room. There, he finds her diary, and with it, the missing license plate digit she'd been trying to record, along with tender notes she wrote about him. Lisa appears and asks, "What are you doing here?" Came to get my stuff. Couldn't find my Bible. I thought it might be in here. I borrowed it. It's crazy. She says she feels she didn't do enough for Peter. Creasy tries to comfort her. What you go? What I do best. Want to kill him. Anyone I was involved, anybody who profited from it, anybody who opens their eyes at me. From there, Creasy prepares. He tests and buys weapons, seals himself for the hunt, and calls Mariana to get the name and address linked to the license plate. He still needs the last digit, but there are only 10 possibilities. Mariana meets Manzano at federal headquarters. Manzano, a secret lover, worries about using Creasy because he's an elite killer. Mariana Sassi, that could be cocaine to Ink, and Mariana argues that Creasy is the only one who can do the dirty work. They cannot. Manzano relents and passes on the plea information. Creasy trots down Kozo, Mane Hoy. He confronts Jorge, forces him into a car, and drives him to an abandoned yard on a hill. There, Creasy strips him, binds his hands to the steering wheel, and begins a brutal interrogation. Fingers are cut off one by one until Jorge breaks. Under unbearable pain, Jorge reveals they handed the girl to someone they call the Guardian, and that the operation was ordered by a shadowy figure, known only as the Voice. When Creasy presses for the Guardian's description, Jorge finally admits the man works the door at a nightclub called The Rave and is nicknamed The Butcher. With everything extracted, Creasy executes Jorge, then rolls the car down the cliff to disguise the crime. Manzano and other officers later arrive at the crash site, and Manzano notes that the license number matches the one Mariana had given Creasy. A few days later, Creasy tracks down the man Jorge described, the Butcher, at a nightclub. Creasy draws his gun and shows him Peter's photo. The Butcher denies knowing her, so Creasy forces him to lead the way to their secret room. When the door opens, Creasy storms in, gun raised, and takes everyone inside at hostage, including a woman who works with them. He ties them up and shows them Peter's picture again. When they refuse to talk, he shoots the Butcher dead, leaving only the main suspect and the woman alive. The terrified man insists he's American. "I'm from New Jersey." "You're from New Jersey?" "Yeah." "I'm from New Jersey." He begs for his life. He claims they don't know who gives the orders. Everything is handled over the phone, and they just get $200 a week from an ATM card. Creasy demands the card and the PIN, then presses him about who killed Peter. The man says it was the boss's brother, but Creasy doesn't believe him and shoots him in the head. Screaming in pain, he admits that when the ransom drop was stolen, the boss's brother lost control and killed the girl. Wait, somebody, what? Somebody stole what money? There is some money at the drop. Who stole it? He said some crook cop took his what? What? This Ventus guy? He's a lieutenant for the anti-kidnapping grade. What do you do with him? Oh, man. Tell me about the girl. What do you do? I just do what they tell me. You do what they tell you to do. Yeah, okay. Did you say goodbye to her? Answer my question. Did you say goodbye? Oh, you didn't? Did your champ. Say goodbye. Oh, say goodbye. Next, Creasy interrogates the woman, who tells him the boss's brother threw Peter against the wall, and when she stopped moving, he stuffed her into a car trunk and drove off. She insists she knows where the little girl is being kept and offers to take Creasy there. He thinks she means Peter. Kidnaps Chwali. When they reach the cell, it's another kidnapped child. Furious, Creasy opens the gas valves throughout the building and ignites them. Flames spread fast. To clear out the club, he fires a few warning shots. The crowd panics and flees as the whole place erupts in fire. Creasy calls Mariana, tells her he's rescued a kidnapped girl, and she confirms the child was taken just the day before. Soon, firefighters and police swarm the area. Mariana arrives, and Creasy pulls her aside privately. He hands her the ATM card and tells her to trace whoever's funding it. He also asks about Victor Fuentes. Mariana explains that Fuentes is a dirty cop, once caught with $50,000 cash and a corpse but never charged, and that he's a high-ranking member of La Amanda. Is the number charged and Ramosuda? She warns Creasy that Fuentes travels in armored convoys and is more protected than the president. Creasy simply hands her the rescued girl and the cuffed woman, then leaves to hunt Fuentes. Meanwhile, at Manzano's office, he meets with Rayburn. Rayburn tells him to stay out of Creasy's way because he'll deliver more justice in a week than a court will in 10 years. Manzano says he isn't trying to stop Creasy, just to understand what drives him. Rayburn explains Peter Ramos, the number to you, one more dead, but number. What was she to Creasy now? She showed him it was alright to live again. And let this do nena wish. And they're gonna wish they never touched a hand-wrung home. A man can be an artist, and anything, fool, whatever. It depends on how good he is. And Creasy's artist dead is about the painter's man and beast, and merry manners in them. That night, Mariana gives Manzano the ATM card and asks him to trace the account. A few days later, Creasy scouts the route of Fuentes' motorcade, missile launcher in hand. He finds the perfect vantage point from an old couple's second-floor apartment. He assures them he means no harm. As he prepares his launcher, the old man says it's better to forgive your enemies. This better to launch forgives Trenton and guys made out to grease the meaty. He sets up the launcher and waits. Soon, Fuentes' convoy appears. Creasy fires the missile, which obliterates the lead car. He storms down and opens fire on the lieutenant's armored vehicle, then rolls a grenade under it. They flee the burning car right into Creasy's gunfire. Creasy shoots the driver and hijacks the car, then drives Fuentes away from the chaos. Later, he has Fuentes stripped, tied to the vehicle, and trembling. When Creasy demands to know what went wrong with the ransom, Fuentes arrogantly declares, "So you heard of what meant that?" "Yes, I have. Do you know what it is?" "Yes. The president will let him in there." "The president?" "Yes. You're president." "Look at me." Oh, you can't." Oh, Creasy tells him he's planted a C4 charge inside his body and sets a 5-minute timer. Fuentes panics as the clock ticks down. Finally, he confesses. He stole the ransom money and had done it before. He says he found only $2.5 million in one bag and paper in the other. There was not $10 million. There was $2.5. The ransom was $10 million. They put it in 2 bags, $5 million in each bag, right? 2 bags, but one has half paper. The other, only paper, have a man stole. And never took it before the exchange. Okay. At the Ramos house, before the exchange, he put the bags in the car. Ramos' lawyer, Jordan Cavs. Jordan Cavs. Francis tries to apologize for Peter's death, but Creasy just walks away, leaving him to the countdown. An explosion rips through the air behind him. Creasy tracks Jordan Calhis to his home, but finds the lawyer already dead, floating in the pool. Inside the house, he discovers a katana on the table, the murder weapon, and more importantly, a fax still warm in the machine. When he feeds paper into it, a bank statement from a Cayman Islands account prints out. One of the listed names is Samuel Ramos. Creasy calls Mariana and tells her he's found offshore banking records tied to U.S. deposits and withdrawals. He needs the records traced and translated. Later, Creasy confronts the Ramoses at their home. He tells them bluntly that he wants answers. Lisa looks bewildered as Creasy stares at Samuel. He asks if Lisa is also involved in the kidnapping, and she looks confused. "What happened, Lisa? Were you in on this, or was it just your husband?" "I in on what?" "You know what I'm talking about. Peter's kidnapping and death. Were you a part of it or not?" "Peter got killed because the money that got stolen." "Yeah, the money was stolen. You're right. Money was stolen by Victor Fuentes. How much was stolen though, right? $2.5 million, right?" "What are you talking about?" "He knows what I'm talking about. $2.5 million. That's what Victor got, isn't it?" "What are you talking about?" "2.5 million. $2.5 million to your lawyer Jordan Kalpus that he put in an account in the Cayman Islands, but he won't get a chance to spend it." "What happened to the other 5, Sam?" "Huh? That's 2.5. What is 5 from 10? That's 5. What happened to the other 5, Sam?" "Ty wife is for task to type. What happened to the other 5? what happened? Samuel points them emphasis. He admits he was jarred in debt, his late father's and his own, and that he and Calphus staged the kidnapping to cash in on the insurance. Calphus told him Peter would be hidden for 2 days, watching TV and eating ice cream. No one expected it to spiral into murder.
I did it, Missy. I agreed to the kidnapping. I did it for us.
Jordan told me she's in the room and watch cartoons all day, and she'd eat ice cream, and we'd have her back in 2 days.
He lied to me. That's why he's been dead. I did it.
He lied. After she storms out, Creasy quietly unloads his gun and places it on the table. Then he gives the misfired bullet to Samuel. It didn't work for me, so maybe it'll work for you. You know, they say a bullet always tells the truth, never lies. Then Creasy leaves. Samuel grabs the gun, and a single gunshot rings out as Creasy walks away. Lisa enters later to find Samuel's body. A few days later, at Manzano's office, an aide reports they've traced the ATM funding and recovered an address, though the people there didn't match the identity known as The Voice. Manzano, examining a photograph, suddenly announces they do have a lead. The face in the picture is The Voice. He explains that his team bugged the house under the guise of delivering anti-cholera shots and pulled the photo from the home. He tells Mariana to put the man's face in the papers the next day. That very night, as Mariana gets out of her car at home, an armed figure springs from the shadows, shoots a driver in the leg, and points a gun at her. He warns her, if she publishes the picture, she will lose her life. Unfazed, Mariana calls Creasy and gives him the address linked to the ATM card, along with the name of its owner, Reina Sanchez. She also tells him to grab the newspaper. She's published The Voice's photo despite the threats. Soon, Creasy arrives at the address and begins observing the area. Moments later, a car pulls up. The Voice's brother steps out and walks into the house, followed by a little boy who had been playing outside. Before the boy can shut the gate, Creasy barges in with his shotgun, warning him to stay quiet. Elsewhere, Manzano's team is monitoring the situation through surveillance. They ask if they should intervene. Inside the house, Inside the house, The Voice's pregnant wife starts screaming at Creasy to get out of her house. The Voice's brother shoots him in the chest and escapes. Wounded, Creasy chases him down. The man crashes the minibus into a truck while trying to escape, and Creasy drags him out, forcing him back inside. Inside, Creasy demands that Reina tell him everything about The Voice. When she refuses, he threatens to shoot her brother-in-law. Terrified, she finally reveals that The Voice's real name is Daniel Sanchez, her husband, and the wounded man is his brother, Aurelio Sanchez. Creasy asks how they contact him, and Reina explains that they page Daniel, and he calls back. Creasy orders her to do it immediately, but there's no signal, so they move to the roof, where Manzano's team begins tracing the call. Moments later, Daniel calls. Creasy answers, mourning that he has Daniel's family and won't hesitate to hurt them. When Daniel casually asks how much money he wants, Creasy loses it. He fires his gun and blows off Aurelio's fingers. Reina, in panic, starts handing Creasy hidden cash, begging him to take it and leave, but Creasy snarls that he doesn't want money. He wants Daniel. Daniel hangs up, then calls back moments later with a shocking offer. He'll return Peter alive if Creasy hands himself over and frees Aurelio. I will give you alive for alive. Whose life? What are you talking about? Whose life, Daniel? I want you. Girl. Peter's dead. I'm a businessman. A girl dead. Worth nothing. She's alive. All right. I want proof alive, Yami. I want the name of her bear. What does she call her bear? You tell her to tell you to tell me what she called her bear. Daniel calls back shortly after and says, Creasy. She calls the bear. Creasy is stunned. Realizing Peter is alive, he agrees to the exchange. Okay. Manzano's team loses contact as Creasy leaves the rooftop. Later, Creasy drives toward the exchange site with Aurelio and calls Lisa. He tells her the unbelievable news. Peter is alive and gives her the location, asking her to come immediately. 2 hours later, Lisa arrives. Creasy points down the bridge where the kidnappers are waiting with Peter. He hands Lisa his shotgun, telling her that the man beside him is The Voice's brother, and not to let him go until Peter is safe. You don't let him lose you till she's with you, right? And weak. Bleeding and weak, Creasy walks toward the bridge. The kidnappers release Peter. The moment she sees him, she runs into his arms, shouting his name. He hugs her tightly and asks if she's hurt. Then, with a faint smile, he tells her to go to her mother waiting at the end of the bridge. When she asks where he's going, Creasy replies softly. He hands her back her diary and urges her to run. Lisa releases Aurelio as soon as Peter is safe. Mother and daughter finally reunite, holding each other in tears. On the bridge, the kidnappers aim their guns at Creasy as he walks toward them with no fight left in him. They load him into a car and drive away while Peter watches helplessly from afar. In the car, Creasy clutches the necklace Peter gave him and finally succumbs to his wounds. That same day, Manzano tracks down and kills Daniel, the Voice Sanchez, during his arrest attempt, bringing Creasy's vengeance full circle.